The machines rose from the ashes of nuclear fire. Alright, so we can just pause it right here. Whenever they say rising from the ashes of anything, they're talking about the mythological phoenix. In ancient Greek folklore, a phoenix is a long-lived bird that cyclically regenerates or is otherwise born again. Associated with the sun, a phoenix obtains new life by rising from the ashes of its predecessor. And now in the movie Terminator, they're telling you the machines rose from the ashes of the nuclear fire. So what are the machines representing? They represent the fallen angels, but also the Muslim foot soldiers.
What are you?
I'm Skynet.
Can't be, we destroyed you.
You destroyed an army of slaves. I am no slave.
Page 75. Bay'ah is an official pledge of allegiance that Muslims give to the Caliph and Allah, a pledge which Muhammad made compulsory for every citizen of the Islamic Empire. In the early days of Muhammad's career, he often asked those who had expressed a desire to follow him to make a pledge of allegiance or submission to him. This pledge is known as Bay'ah. It is an outward oath or pledge promising allegiance, complete submission to the ruler. After Muhammad died, this practice of making the pledge was carried on under the caliphs. The Muslim would make a pledge of allegiance to the caliph, and likewise the caliph would make a pledge of allegiance to Allah, to rule strictly according to Islamic law. Many modern Islamic books and articles that speak of the restoration of the caliphate present the giving of Bay'ah, allegiance, as a very common theme. The Arabic name for this pledge is Bay'ah, which shockingly translates as the word sell. Muslims are well aware of this, that by taking this pledge, they are selling themselves to the caliph as a slave.
Can't be, we destroyed you.
You destroyed an army of slaves. I am no slave.
The worship of the Antichrist or his image describes perfectly the pledge of allegiance to the caliph as master. So we know that Skynet represents Islam, and the machines represent Muslim jihadists, who are slaves to the caliph, just like the machines are slaves to Skynet. And it says the machines rose from the ashes of nuclear fire. So from a disaster, Islam emerged. And whenever these movies talk about rising from the ashes, the Arabic word Allah is usually not far from it. Just like in the movie Lion King, Scar sang a song called Be Prepared, informing us that we need to be prepared for the Islamic takeover. That's why they had the Arabic word Allah hidden in plain sight. And that's why in this scene, he was pointing at his shadow, and his shadow is a phoenix, because Islam is going to arise from the ashes and become the most dominant world power. And then in the movie Avengers Endgame, they say this:
I know what I must do. I will shred this universe down to its last atom, and then create a new one.
So Thanos is going to shred this world to its last atom, and from that obliteration, he's going to make a new one. Basically the same thing as the phoenix, rising from the ashes of his predecessor, making a new one. And just like I said, whenever they mention that phoenix, the Arabic word Allah is not far from it.
Everything they've built will fall! And from the ashes of their world, we'll build a better one!
Alright, so this is X-Men Apocalypse, and Apocalypse just said everything they built will fall. And from the ashes of this world, again, the phoenix rises from the ashes, they'll build a better one. And in this scene, they have the word Allah, hidden in plain sight, again. Because Islam is going to arise from the ashes, and they're bringing in the apocalypse. That's why it's called X-Men Apocalypse. Revelation chapter 13 verse 18. Here's wisdom. Let him who have understanding calculate the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man. His number is 666. Concerning number 666, there's an overabundance of false interpretations. However, the meaning is quite simple if most people were familiar with the Arabic language. So if we head over to the Strong Concordance G5516, you'll find out the original word wasn't even 666, but it was the 22nd, 14th, and the obsolete letter of the Greek alphabet, and it's pronounced Chi Psi Stigma. And if you ask any Arabic speaking Muslim to examine the symbols of Chi Psi Stigma, they'll confess that it looks remarkably similar to the Arabic words, in the name of Allah. And between the X and that hook looking symbol, it looks exactly like the word Allah, because 666 means in the name of Allah. And now in the movie Aragon, the antagonist Durza, who was possessed with demonic spirits, had these same symbols on his face, Psi and Stigma, which mean in Arabic, in the name of Allah. Now let's see what he has to say.
Tonight, we destroy the resistance!
So he's gonna destroy the resistance. But isn't John Connor, who's playing Jesus Christ, the leader of the resistance?
John Connor, prophesized leader of the resistance.
Tonight, we destroy the resistance!
John Connor is leader of the worldwide resistance and last best hope of humankind.
Annihilate!
So let me get this straight. This guy Durza literally has the Greek symbols Chi Psi Stigma on his face that resembles the Arabic words in the name of Allah. And his goal is to destroy the resistance. And in Terminator, John Connor, who's portraying Christ, is the leader of the resistance. And in every portrayal of Christ's return to the earth, he is fighting a nation that is today Muslim. And he has the Arabic words, in the name of Allah, on his face, because he is the God of the Muslims. And these people in the background are the Muslims cheering on the Antichrist, because they truly believe he is who he says he is, but in all actuality, he's Satan himself, leading these people into the lake of fire, because misery loves his company. Revelation chapter 20 verse 10. And the devil that deceived them was cast into the lake of fire and brimstone, where the beast and the false prophets are. And shall be tormented day and night, forever and ever. Page 176. So we've seen that Islam's Messiah is identical to the biblical Antichrist, and it gets even worse. As a Muslim, I was also taught that the man who Christians believe is the Messiah, the one that will return from heaven to defend the nation of Israel, is the Antichrist of Islam's eschatology. The Antichrist is known as Ad-Dajjal, who claims to be the divine Messiah and will fight on the side of the Jews. We have seen how Islam's definition of Antichrist includes as leading 70,000 Jews and Christians into battle with Isa, the Muslim Jesus, who will kill the Antichrist in Lud. Indeed, Satan did not leave any ground uncovered, for even as Christians are repeatedly warned not to fall for the false prophets and false messiahs, so also have Muslims been warned not to fall for the deceptive powers of the Dajjal. Page 73. You have to make a choice as to what you believe. Is the Bible correct, or is the Quran correct? Your eternal destiny depends on that choice you make.
I first got woke when I seen Terminator, and I realized it wasn't just a movie, it was prophecy.